A nuclear energy Columbia generating station by me myself. And it doesn't move. Oh my. Okay. How does a nuclear reactor generate electricity? A nuclear energy comes from the splitting of the uranium atom. This process of separating protons is called fission. This reaction generates heat to produce steam, which is used by a turbine generator to generate electricity. The steam condenses in the cooling tower and is reused again as steam for later reactions. To put it into perspective, chemical energy from uranium is transformed to heat energy from the reaction, to kinetic energy in the steam and turbines, to electrical energy in the generator. A perspective about how much energy a nuclear reactor produces. A single uranium nuclear fuel pellet produces as much energy as 3 barrels of oil, each 42 gallons, a ton of coal, 1,000 kilograms, 2.5 tons of wood, 2,500 kilograms, 17,500 cubic feet of natural gas. A single nuclear reactor produces as much energy as about 3 million PV panels, solar energy, 431 utility-scale wind turbines, wind energy, enough power for 100 million LED bulbs, 1.3 million fully grown horses, and the horsepower of 2,000 Chevrolet Corvettes C7s. In simple terms, a whole lot of energy. How efficient is nuclear energy? In reality, nuclear energy is not renewable. Nuclear energy comes from uranium, a radioactive element found underground. Like iron, coal, and any other resource, uranium is limited and may eventually run out. But what it lacks in number, it replenishes with output. Nuclear energy produces the most energy among other resources today. For example, 8,000 times more efficient in output than coal. Uranium produces so much energy when split that the time we would take to finally use it up would be out of our concern. Similarly to solar energy, where the sun will eventually die, both sources will eventually run out, just in such a long time. The sun will only extinguish in a supernova only 5 billion years from now. Unlike coal and natural gas, mining for uranium is minimal and doesn't take a severe toll on our Earth's resources, and due to its high energy output is efficient. Nuclear power plants do not produce any greenhouse gases except water vapor, as only pure heat energy is released from nuclear fission. But one major concern is nuclear waste. In the process of fission, not only are high amounts of energy produced, but lighter elements. By separating protons, the element of uranium changes. If this waste is not disposed of properly, it can leak into water bodies or soil, and can cause pollution and drastic damage to the environment. They may be toxic enough to shift organism populations and cause breaks in the ecosystem. Another form of nuclear waste is when some uranium leaks out of the facility. As uranium is highly radioactive, it can cause damage to living things through cancer mutations like Godzilla, and damage to nervous systems, and etc. Human impacts of nuclear energy. From the previous slide, we learned about how nuclear waste can leak into our environment. Our human life is connected with the environment and ecosystem, and any damage to the ecosystem is detrimental to our lives. The waste that is ingested by organisms may get into our food chain and leak into our water bodies, both causing us to have exposure to such elements and cause certain symptoms like cancer. Nuclear energy is also very hard to handle due to large energy outputs. And if certain errors take place, the instability of the reactors may cause nuclear explosions, which will cause much death and destruction. The aftermath of these explosions would cause the release of much nuclear waste. Impacts of such accidents were witnessed in Chernobyl in 1986, when many people lost their lives due to the explosion. Until today, due to nuclear waste, the area and cities around it are uninhabitable and cause mutations in the human body. Another intentional nuclear explosion is the dropping of the atomic bombs on Japan, which killed an estimated 120,000 people almost instantly and 80,000 people in the aftermath. To gain the benefits of nuclear, one must certainly face the risks. Watch the Chernobyl miniseries, there's a lot of info on it. The impacts of nuclear waste are long-term, as it is hard to clear, and the radioactive elements can be passed down the food chain and stay in water bodies for a long time. The effects are very long, as radioactivity can remain a long time. Columbia Generating Station. Columbia Generating Station is a nuclear power plant located 10 miles away from Richland, Washington. It is operated by Energy Northwest, which is a non-profit agency in Washington. Licensed in 1983, Columbia first started providing electricity a year later. Columbia produces 1,107 megawatts net of electricity, which takes up 10% of Washington's electrical output. Fun facts about the facility. Did you know that the last time the station refueled was in 1986? That's just how efficient and long-lasting uranium is. The cooling system for the nuclear plant gets its water from the Columbia River and cycles it every nuclear reaction. The return water is not polluted due to pure energy of the reaction. This is a satellite picture of the Columbia Generating Station from space. The surrounding of the station is mostly barren, dry, and uninhabited land. The nearest living areas are some of the rural farming plots 10 miles to the right across the Columbia River. The reason for such a distance from society is due to the risk of a nuclear accident. People are far away enough that in case of an emergency, the reaction will not harm them, though some aftermath effects like the spread of nuclear waste may be unavoidable. With this safe distance, people are not harmed by the risk and radioactivity of the uranium and the plant. There is also minimal forest nearby so as to prevent animal interactions with radioactive material and risk harm against them. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission defines 2 emergency planning zones around nuclear power plants: a plume exposure pathway zone with a radius of 10 miles 16 kilometers, concerned primarily with exposure to and inhalation of airborne radioactive contamination, and an ingestion pathway zone about 50 miles, concerned primarily with ingestion of food liquid contaminated by radioactive materials. Direct info. Which communities does it serve? Not much information is provided online on the communities the nuclear plant serves. It is under Energy Northwest, which powers many of the utilities in Washington state. I spelled Washington wrongly, but it's fine. Which in turn are the ones that provide us with energy for our daily lives at home, work, and school. Public safety measures. The Columbia Generating Station have included these additions to prevent the leakage of nuclear waste and material: non-soluble ceramic pellets that encase the commercial nuclear fuel, corrosion-resistant zirconium metal tubes or cladding that encase ceramic pellets, reactor coolant water within the reactor vessel, the reactor vessel's 6 to 9 inch thick steel heavy inner wall, primary containment, a concrete shield wall several feet thick surrounding the reactor vessel, secondary containment, the reactor building's outer wall aided by negative inside air pressure and high-efficiency building filtration systems. I originally intended to write about the station's layout, but there's limited information online for me to do so, except the fact that it had 6 cooling towers and a generator. An overview on solar energy. Solar power is an energy from the sun that is converted into thermal or electrical energy through solar cells and solar panels. Solar energy is the cleanest, most abundant renewable energy source available. The USA has some of the richest solar resources in the world. Solar technologies can harness this energy for a variety of uses, including generating electricity, providing light or comfortable interior environment, and heating water for domestic, commercial, or industrial use. The sun's energy is really unlimited and expensive. Thank you.